Morning, I'd like to call the meeting, TTAC meeting scheduled for, 9 a.m. Wednesday, October 1st to order. The first, item is pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
So I see Sheila O'Malley from Macedonia in the room.
And Sheldon.
And Sheldon. Right. Andrew Lyle, is he here? I'm just calling the names of the ones that responded. Mr. Lozinski is here. Ryan is not here.
Had a park in the ramp.
Park on the street.
You were
Dave
next to
Stewart is here. Carl Johnson is here. Kathy Karnowski is here. Paul Benovich is here.
This is Joe Millette, my assistant town engineer, Watertown.
How you doing?
Hello. Is also here. And I don't see any others. Did I miss anyone? And NVCOG staff are here.
Okay, thank you. A public comment, anybody here from the public?
We didn't receive any requests for online comment, I think.
If not, moving on to the next item, we'll pull our meeting minutes from August 6, 2025. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second, Sheila.
Any questions, discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Moving, thank you. Moving on, transportation planning, lots of cost change, installation of sidewalk Bristol Shrub Road, Kevin Ellis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. So we have this last project that we've been working on with the city of Bristol. The city of Bristol is really eager to get this one going. Hopefully construction starting next year. We do have a cost change. The last previously approved cost was around 1.9 million. And as you can see on the screen, the new current cost is around 3.1 million. The reason for this change is there's a lot of retaining walls that were added to the project, which really kicked the price up a lot, but it was necessary to prevent a lot of right-of-way impacts and to just construct a sidewalk on road safely. So the recommended motion is to recommend approval of the allocation for additional funds for the project, and of course, I'll take any questions.
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Just from Bristol's perspective, this is an important project to Bristol. Certainly appreciate NVCOG's assistant and everybody's helping on it.
And we have the funds available.
Yes.
Okay, just checking.
Today, anyhow.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of related question.
Yeah,
Today,
yeah.
still 9:05. Yeah.
Lots of his state funds.
No, I know.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next item, Safe Streets for All, Vision Zero Safety Action Plan. Rich?
Yeah, so we're gonna talk through a few pieces of this. But the safety action plan is the result of the Safe Streets and Roads for All award granted to NVCOG back in the 2023 award cycle. And so we're in the process right now. We have to have a full draft of our action plan published by the end of December. And so our staff's been working hard on this. We're gonna talk through three elements of this plan today. And then have a lot of opportunity for question and discussion, both now and of course after the meeting. So for the first piece, I'm gonna hand it off to Anthony, who's gonna talk about the safety assessment that's been completed for the region.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Anthony Lagana. I'm a transportation planner for NVCOG. So this is the quantitative analysis aspect of our Safe Streets for All regional transportation safety plan overview. For this quantitative analysis, we extracted crash data from UConn's crash data repository from January 1st, 2022 to December 31st, 2024. This data comes from state and local police reporting, as you probably know. While this is valuable, there are some discrepancies and occasional gaps in the data. With that being said, the data is essential for us as we, try to get pointed in the right direction in terms of the types of crash happening, the location, things like that. To more easily manage and interpret the data, we developed a crosstab, which you see on the screen up here, just a small portion of it. This tool allows us to quickly access municipal and year-specific data without re-querying the crash data repository over and over again, or its data. It's just to say that we're collecting and analyzing a lot of data right now for this report. Mark is doing a deeper dive in the data, both in the spatial sense of actual locations in your municipalities where things are happening. But this is like the broader overview we're kind of working with behind the scenes. Go to the next slide.
And just before you go on, and what we're doing with the report is we're gonna put together sort of a summary memo or whatever, like three to top 3 pages, that data is gonna be summarized for each town. So, you know, we have this cross tab that's, 19 towns, wide, and by, I don't know how many factors we're using, but a lot. But you guys will have it pretty much summarized for your individual town on a couple of 3 pages. It'll have a map showing the locations of the crashes and then some of the data.
Do we know this just approximately when that's gonna be issued, that report?
Well, our target is, we need to have a draft report, sort of finished by the end of this year. We're gonna probably present, we're gonna do.
We're gonna present it at the December TTAC meeting.
Yeah, December, TTAC. And then we're gonna use first 3 months of 26 to sort of, present it to the public, present it to the towns, take comments, make revisions, and finalize report. Target date is end of March,
Yeah, right now our performance period on the grant ends on March 31st.
so that will be when we have the final. So, and again, this is a little bit more of a, not just an update, but a little bit more in-depth analysis that was completed in 2020 by VN engineers that they were contracted with the state DOT to do regional transportation safety plans for each of the regions, and theirs was a little bit, more broad. We're trying to do a little bit deeper dive, so.
And just to clarify, I think we are looking at serious injury and fatal crashes primarily. So that's what our like actual analysis and spatial analysis is gonna be looking at. In that sense, just looking at some trends for this period for serious and fatals. We had a rise in 2022, a dip in 2023, and then a rise again in 2024. So we had 214 serious or fatal crashes in 2022, 177 in 2023, and then 201 in 2024. So it's kind of going up and down currently. During this period, we saw 592 serious or fatal crashes in total. 127 of those were fatal, involving at least 1 fatality. By people, we had about 584 passengers and drivers involved, with about 107 fatalities there. Pedestrians were about 89 people with 27 pedestrian fatalities. And there were 11 cyclists involved with 1 fatality. In terms of crashes, roughly 17% of all serious and fatal crashes involve non-motorists, so about 100 out of 592. And then, we also looked at like collision types, contributing factors, and driver actions. We don't need to get too deep into the weeds, but about half of crashes involved basically beginning with 2 vehicles. Most common were angle crashes, front to front, front to rear. You can kind of see some of the diagrams there. Then the other half of all crashes didn't really involve 2 vehicles as the first incident. Pedestrian and cyclists were about 15%. Fixed objects, so like walls, utility poles, things like that, 80%. And a very small remainder were just things like, deer, animals, rollovers, minor things like that. And like driver action, we also looked at those. So things like failing to stay in the proper lane, about a third of crashes involved that. Running off the road, reckless driving, negligence, failure to yield right of way, those other big driver actions. The vast majority of serious and fatals, so about, I want to say, 93% were on local roads and state roads. Not a lot of US route or interstate crashes were serious or fatal injuries. About 70% of crashes occurred outside of intersections, and the other 30% were within either T intersections or 4-way intersections, no roundabout serious or fatal crashes, so that's good. And kind of a final interesting data point, just so I could wrap up. Roadway departure crashes, they're 19% of all crashes. But they're 38% of all fatal and serious injury crashes, so that's kind of an emphasis area. I think we're really looking at those roadway departure crashes where people are, really more at risk. And that's all I have. If you have any questions.
Yeah, and again, what we're trying to do is to get a sense of what are the contributing factors. And it's a little bit of a challenge, because again, the database has a lot of information, but sometimes it's really hard to really get a sense of what happened at the time of the crash, because the police are reviewing it after the fact. So, but we're trying to figure out, okay, this crash is happening. What was the cause? Was it a physical environment type cause? The roadway needs to be fixed up. Was it just driver behavior? They drive, aggressively or distractedly, or driving too fast for conditions. It's just a challenge trying to figure out exactly what is the cause of some of these. But that's what we're trying to do. It's just pinpoint, where we have a high incidence of fatal and serious injury crashes. We do something to fix those areas. Anthony was saying with the road departures. Again, trying to figure out what the cause is. It a sharp curve that needs to be fixed, or it's some other physical road condition that we can actually address. Rumble strips, to warn people if they're leaving the road, things like that. So anyway, that's what we're working on.
Thanks for the, summary report, status report, or any questions or comments? I would say from Bristol's perspective, we did do a brief report to our Board of Public Works. We took a look at Yukon crash data. We'll forward that on, to NVCOG. For that matter, we can also find it on our Board of Public Works packet, but we'll forward it to a couple of months ago.
Yeah, and just so one of the elements that came out of our Vision Zero commitment back in 2022 was that we committed as an agency to doing biannual reports that include both town and regional level data. The next item we're going to talk about, we're going to switch that to being an annual report that we put out. And so anytime you have you want to be able to present something like that or have needs in town for data, we'll have that available. And so we'll both do it as a as a PDF packet report, but we're also moving toward an online like a real-time online data hub to share some of this, as well as the strategies and projects that are being implemented to address these problems. So we'll make sure that you all see that when that comes out as well.
I think what we did, and I'm not suggesting, NVCOG, do it, but we also utilized that service that at one point NVCOG had, where you can, where they ping phones and you can get, track its speeds, and data. And our memo kind of tied it in, to that, like where speeding is, in the city relative to, crashes,
Yeah, we're using Streetlight as the data source we have now, which does, it used to use phone data. It is no longer able to, because Apple changed their privacy restrictions on iPhones. And so they were no longer able to get a representative sample from phone data. So they switched to connected vehicles. And so they're able to make estimates based on data they collect from every Honda or Toyota vehicle on the road.
Switching topics, so I guess I didn't realize you guys still have that, so you can provide that, that's a service you can provide to municipalities?
Yes, absolutely.
Any other questions or comments?
I do want to make one last note on this. Just, I know it is sometimes an area of concern to publish data about high crash frequency locations or to raise awareness on these issues. And so all of this information is protected under Title 23, Section 409 of the US Code, that this information, when presented for planning purposes, cannot be used to effectively to increase the town's liability. So.
And if I may, that my understanding is that, and maybe I'm confused, so obviously you're doing this report, but NVCOG is also going for a grant, or you have the grant for Vision Zero?
We're writing this report based on a grant that was awarded previously. We did submit in this year's Safe Streets and Roads for All cycle to implement a project here in Waterbury. And we'll be hoping to do so in future rounds of that program, as well as using the projects identified from this report for project prioritization and for other funding sources that may be available, including both state and federal dollars. So the goal is to have a detailed project listing tied back to all the data analysis work we're doing, and then use that detailed project listing to identify funding sources to make those improvements.
The most recent submittal, have you been notified if Waterbury received a grant or not?
We have not.
Do you know
No.
what the time frame is?
They are legally required to post awards by the end of this month, by October 31st. So the way the statute was written, they have a 125-day period, I think it was 125, from the submission deadline to award announcements. So they're rapidly approaching. However, we don't know if if the government shutdown may impact that timeline.
And the other thing to point out too is this report that we're putting together satisfies the federal requirement to have a safety action plan in place in order to allow municipalities to apply for a project under Safe Streets for All. So even if you don't have a town-based safety action plan, you can, use our regional plan as meeting that criteria.
Yes.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? If not, moving on, safety performance target methodology.
Yeah, so this is adjacent to, but technically separate from the Safe Streets, from the Safe Streets Award and the Vision Zero Action Plan. So every year, starting with the passage of the FAST Act, state DOTs are required to set performance targets there's actually 26 performance targets. 5 of them are safety specific, and you can see those here on the screen. They are the total number of fatalities, the rate of fatalities per 100 million VMT, the number of serious injuries and the rate of serious injuries, and then the number of non-motorized fatalities and serious injuries. So this is cyclists and pedestrians effectively. So every year the state sets a target. MPOs across the state are required to then either endorse those statewide targets or set individual targets as the MPO. Here in Connecticut, every MPO has, since the beginning of this program, endorsed the statewide target. And so Connecticut uses the federal highway guidance around setting the number targets. So they use a 5-year moving average to project out the 2 years into the future. And they use their modeling to generate a VMT number. That VMT number goes in to inform that rate of fatalities. In the second from right column here, you'll see the 26 targets set by CONDOT by their deadline of August 1st of this current year for next calendar year. For the first time, the CNV MPO, so the 15 northern NVCOG towns, would like to set our own targets. So we want to do this for a couple of reasons. The first and most important note on this, though, is that we are not changing the methodology from CONDOT. This is not a rejection of CONDOT's methodology or their target setting practices. But we want to set our own so that we can highlight the regional data and use that target setting practice to help advance the region's Vision Zero goal. And so in the furthest right column, you'll see using the same methodology as CONDOT, but broken down to just the 15-town CNV MPO region. These are the targets that we calculated for our region. I think notably, you'll see that the second or the very middle column here, when I say 2026 targets adjusted. So the CNV MPO represents almost exactly 10% of the state's population. It is 9.98% of the state's population. And so if we were to take the statewide targets and adjust them down to what we would expect based on our population, you'll see that our regional targets end up coming out higher than the statewide target. And there's 2 factors behind that. So the first is generally our region has performed slightly worse than the state as a whole. It relates back to many factors, but I think one of the most notable is that we have older infrastructure and have received a little bit less attention in some of the state investment programs over the past 30, 40 years. So, so I think that is an important note. The other piece is CONDOT is using an adjustment factor on their target setting that we did not use this year. So, CONDOT, their calculated target versus their proposed target are different. they make an adjustment down. They have stayed flat in their target setting for a number of years, despite missing that target each year. When a state misses its target, there's a penalty that comes with that from the Federal Highway Administration. That penalty, however, is not really an issue here for Connecticut. It is that highway safety improvement plan dollars cannot be flexed into other programs. We spend far more than just the highway safety improvement plan dollars on safety focused projects here in Connecticut anyway. And so that penalty hasn't really been a penalty for us. It's really been more of an opportunity across the state to program these safety focused projects, which are the priority at CONDOT as well as at the MPO levels. And so I just wanted to call that out. You know, you'll see we're pretty notably higher than the state targets, but that's part of the reason is that adjustment down. This year for 2026, we set a target based solely on what the data would suggest the target should be. Our strategy will be to make adjustments down on a linear trend towards the 0 target in 2060, with major recalculations of that trend line every 5 years. So that in 2030, if we're making better progress, we can adjust the trend line, or if we're not making the progress at the rate we would hope to, we can adjust the prioritization of project selection and implementation, but also the rate at which we anticipate seeing fatalities decline towards 0. So that 35 fatalities per year is the number that is presented to us just based on the 5-year moving average. I also want to make a note that the word target, I don't know that we necessarily agree with. We know that CONDOT does not agree with. Target is the word used in the Federal Register. We have to use that terminology. We want to make it clear though that the target does not mean that we want to see this happen. The goal, which is I think more important for us, is 0 and will always be 0. We do not accept fatalities as part of the roadway system. It's not a normal thing that should happen. And so we will always have a goal of 0. The target is in line with the federal methodology, but will eventually align to that 0. And that's what we're all working for with this plan.
So
Mhm.
I believe I understood, what you were, saying, and, with respect to consistent methodology with the DOT. And then I guess one line that, stuck out at me, which is, rate of fatality where, the DOT is like, 0.85 and we're over, the NVCOG is, over 1. I guess in my mind, when I first looked at that, I said, well, because the density in the region is higher than, statewide, but then honestly, Mayor, do you know if that's true or not? Because clearly Waterbury, you have Bristol that has a higher density, but in all fairness, you also have Bethlehem, and Woodbury and Middlebury. So what is our population density relative to the state? And is that a contributing factor to the, rate of fatality?
Yeah, so overall compared to the state, I don't know offhand. We could look that up, we can look into that further. I would guess though that we're denser than the state as a whole. You think about the whole eastern half of the state is pretty low density. The northwest corner is pretty low density. And so even though we have some of the, less density areas down in Oxford and up in Bethlehem, we also have a lot of density through the Naugatuck+Valley, up through Thomaston, Plymouth, and Bristol. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we are notably denser than the state as a whole.
And I would think that if it's true, then that's probably a big factor, yeah?
And one of the things we see is that our urban centers are really the driver of some of these numbers. And so, when we go to do this analysis and we're looking at the spatial distribution of these crashes, especially the fatal and serious injury crashes, they really do get clustered into the densest parts of the region. And so we know where the opportunity lies, and we know how to make what we hope will be pretty quick progress on addressing these. One thing we went back and forth on a lot was the decline of the target down towards 0. We landed on a linear trend in hopes that it gives us some room to work and some time to get into it. But ideally, what we're hoping to see is actually a pretty steep curve where we can address a number of these pretty quickly. The kind of the low hanging fruit fixes. If we can address those and bring these numbers way down, we know that the last few will be very hard to solve for. When you look at Sweden, so Vision Zero originated in Sweden, and they've been really the global leader on implementing this. That's exactly what happened to them. So they dropped, looking at a population count wise, they dropped from 10 fatalities per 100,000 to 3 fatalities per 100,000 pretty quick. But to get from 3 to 2 is taking them a long time. And they're still, even though they have a culture around it, they are fully invested in it as a government. They're still at that 2 per 100,000 fatality rate, which they're having a very hard time bringing down to 0 because of the number of things that are really difficult to solve for. And just for comparative sake, so NVCOGs as a whole, we're at about 8 per 100,000 is our total fatality rate. Some of our denser urban areas are a bit higher, but all of our region, even though we're a little bit higher than the state as a whole, we are below the national average. And so I think it speaks a lot to the work that's been done by the region, by the towns, and by CONDOT to focus on safety over the years before it really became the national focus that it is today.
Okay. Any questions or comments? If not, is there a motion to recommend acceptance of the target setting methodology for safety performance targets, to the, CMV and PO?
Make a motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Active transportation plan?
We'll bar on this item, sorry.
Project solicitations.
Hi, thank you. So by the end of this week, NVCOG will have conducted 15 municipal interviews throughout the region. If one of the municipalities hasn't been able to schedule one, we're really hoping to do that by mid-October. And if not, we'll be sending out a survey to at least get that information for that means. We have heard key themes throughout this process. In almost all the municipalities, for example, speeding has been a major issue. So those are the kinds of things that we are taking in our notes to then put into the plan, obviously for your review as well. And then following up on what Rich had said is that the project prioritization process comes from the identified locations, not only through the data, but through these municipal interviews. So following that, we'll be putting that into the plan as high crash locations that are key. And obviously we need the data to support these findings. So thanks, Dan.
Yeah, and one of the big things by doing the interviews, the data tells you one thing, but it doesn't always tell you the whole thing. And it's really important to talk to the public safety officials to find out, are there locations that are dangerous but don't have the crash occurring at them? So, it's trying to get, a better sense of, no, this location's really bad. There's a lot of near misses, and this is something we should look at more, even though, it may not have had crashes. So it's really important to talk to, the public safety officials directly to get their sense and their feelings and their perspectives. One of the other things we've been noticing, I'm not sure if everybody else has, is the proliferation of e-assisted devices have become a little bit more of a concern to a lot of police departments for a couple of reasons. They're easily modifiable to go faster than what they were intended to. And they're also being driven or ridden by younger people who don't have the experience of how to drive. They may not know the rules of the road, may not have a driver's license, so they really, haven't gone through that, learning how to drive. So, that's something that we've gotten out of these interviews as well. But again, the big message, if anybody on the call is a town that hasn't been able to schedule an interview, we'd really like your help to try to, get us over the finish line with all 19. So we're, 4 to go.
Thank you.
But just one last note on this, if you have specific safety focused projects that you would like to see end up in this report so that they become eligible for future funding rounds in the Safe Streets and Roads for All program or similar programs, please make sure to let us know. We're going to try and put a comprehensive list together, but we don't want to miss out on any local priorities. So send an email to me, to Nicole. We'll make sure that we get those included in the plan with the backup data necessary.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, through you. So Rich, as you know, Howe Avenue in Shelton remains a concern, and I just wanna, I know I'm sure you're looking at it, but just wanted to, make sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's one that the data tells us we need to look at as well, so.
Yeah, it does.
We'll make sure that there are improvements there included in the plan, but if there's anything like that where there's somewhere specific that you don't want to make sure gets included, please let us know.
Thanks.
Okay, any other questions, comments on this item? If not, moving on to active transportation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
The Connecticut Department of Transportation will conduct a series of in-person open houses for the active transportation plan across the state during the months of September and October. This is the second round of open houses. The first took place in the earlier part of 2025. The active transportation plan is a crucial step in creating a safer, more accessible transportation network for all Connecticut residents and visitors alike. These open houses provide an opportunity for CONDOT to gather valuable feedback from the public, working together towards a shared vision of improved mobility. CONDOT and consultants with input from the COGs have completed the first phase of the study and are entering phase 2, proposed recommendations. The second phase includes development of proposed active transportation infrastructure improvements and prioritization of projects along with potential funding sources. This also includes recommendations for programs or policies that can improve conditions for active transportation. There will be an open house for the Waterbury area on Wednesday, October 15th from 6 to 8 p.m. at Waterbury City Hall. You are encouraged to attend to share your input. No RSVP is required. You can just show up. And NVCOG staff will also be there and we will have a table. In addition, I did want to give special recognition to the town of Plymouth and Plymouth School District for receiving 1 of 4 recognitions at a Vision Zero Program of Distinction Award ceremony for 2025 at CONDOT this past Monday. CONDOT's Safe Routes to School team conducted 2 bike and pedestrian safety education programs at Plymouth's Harry S. Fisher School this past year. The first training involved 100 fifth graders and was held during PE classes. The second training involved 60 students from grades 1 through 6 at the Plymouth Parks and Recreation Department's summer camp. Each event had lessons and or activities for bike safety, helmet fitting, rules of the road, scanning and signaling on a scooter, and ended with a safety lesson relay race game. So congratulations, Carl. I know you're on the online, and congratulations to Plymouth. Does anyone have any questions?
Any questions or comments? Again, congratulations to both. And then if not, if there are no questions, just moving on to the RSA training waterfront update.
Thanks, Jen. The NVCOG transportation team has taken on more capacity to carry out road safety audits. Last year, the first RSA was completed for Thomaston Avenue in Waterbury. From this RSA, we were then able to assist the city in applying for a Safe Streets and Roads for All grant. We're currently undertaking an RSA for a 2-mile stretch of Baldwin Street in Waterbury and are almost complete. As the local experts who know our region's roads well, we will soon be able to take requests for carrying out additional RSAs in the region, in addition to other services as part of our expanded road safety study program. With that being said, we invite you to participate in an upcoming RSA training organized in collaboration with the T2 Center right here in our region. Though originally scheduled for October 22nd in Watertown, this training will now be moved to the springtime. So please stay tuned for this new date and we hope you can join us then.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any questions or comments? Not a lunch and learn, Kate?
Okay, thanks again. And just one other exciting program to mention, we will be bringing back some lunch and learns as this platform encourages knowledge share amongst our municipalities. Excited to offer a couple lunch and learns for you. The first one is going to be on the topic of roundabouts. We are very excited to welcome Scott from CONDOT on November 12th. who will cover the following items. The need for safety for all users on our roadways, safety benefits of modern roundabouts, how pedestrians and cyclists use roundabouts, critical design elements for successful roundabouts, roundabout central island features, a review of the different types of roundabouts and advantages and disadvantages, and a before and after look at several locations on CT state routes where intersection control was converted to a modern roundabout. So we will send registration around to you shortly, and we hope you can join us. The program will be offered in a hybrid fashion with lunch provided for those who attend in person. We anticipate opening the room for lunch around 11:30, and the program will kick off at noon. And will run till about 1 p.m. And then in January, we will bring you another topic. This one will be the state local bridge program. This was a suggestion from the last TTAC meeting. And we will have Andrew Shields from Condot to present that one. We are offering these on the off months of TTAC. So you can expect 2 more in March and May, and we're definitely open for your suggestions on the speakers that you would like to see. We do like to bring speakers to TTAC, but since these presentations will be roughly 30 to 40 minutes, we figured we would want to have more time, and that's why we're not holding them at the same time as the TTAC meetings. But I do welcome your suggestions on any other topic that you might want covered. So please, if you think of any, you can email me. If anyone has any ideas right now, please let me know, but we are excited to get these going again. Thank you.
Thanks for that information. Certainly, I think the two topics you already have scheduled are certainly, timely and especially on the local bridge program, Bristol will be sending a representative.
Great. Thank you.
Any questions or comments? If not, discretionary grant program, the RAISE grant.
That's me, huh?
Mark.
Yeah, just quick update on as you know, we were awarded 3 discretion grants from USDOT over the past 2 years. RAISE was intended to be our big one. It was intended to design of about 12 miles a section of the Naugatuck Greenway Trail. That got canceled. We were this close to getting the funds awarded and obligated. I've been working with Federal Highway and Connecticut office, putting together the agreement and final documentation. We had, I don't know, a couple of 3 weeks of going back and forth on the scope and funding and all this, all the other details. We had the agreement, all set to be sent down to DC for approval. The anticipated obligation date was going to be today, October 1st. And then a couple of weeks ago, we got a letter from USDOT announcing that it was canceled. Even though it's a multimodal transportation program that was being funded, we were told that our project didn't meet with the department's priority of focusing on vehicle traffic. So
the Connecticut Mirror published the letter from USDOT yesterday, 2 days ago. If anybody is interested in referring back to the language.
But yeah, it was very.
Can you forward us the region a copy of the letter?
Yeah.
In certain what you said 10 miles from where to where?
The project was going to start in Springfield and Naugatuck and go all the way up to East Main Street in Thomaston. The cold quarter is 16.9 miles. We have a couple of sections actually built and another section under design in Waterbury. So even though the whole quarter was 17 miles, the intent of the project was to design all the sections that haven't had any work to date. So that's roughly 12 miles. So at the completion of the RAISE project, we would have had complete design plans ready to go to bid for all those remaining sections. we have funding sort of in place and allocated for 5 of those sections, so. We were really optimistic, once we got this, the designs done, we had like, 5 sections ready to go and be built, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, Aaron, it's like about 3 or 4 miles that we were or 5 miles that was all set to be built, so it would have been a really good jump start to get the thing done. And the real key is that there's a couple of real tricky, complex sections in this corridor, especially in Waterbury. And we just don't see Waterbury, having the resources to actually go ahead and design those sections in the near future, so. Who knows what's gonna happen with those. But we also put together a memo describing the impact that this cancellation will have on our ability. We can also forward that if anybody's interested.
Yeah, both of them.
But, like I said, I had been working, we thought this is a project was really in danger. But then when we started working with our Connecticut, Federal Highway Office, we were sort of confident that it was gonna go ahead, and he was very confident that he was anticipating obligation, by October 1st. So we actually gone through consultant selection process. We had identified the preferred consultant. We're getting ready to start negotiations on a fee and scope so that we could, once we got the money and authorization to proceed, we could actually get things started. So, very disheartening. We're coming up with, seeing if there are other ways of getting some things actually built, but the section in Naugatuck is, I think they're pretty supportive of it, so they think that's gonna go and move ahead. Watertown is the one we're, biggest concerned about, because, this would provide you guys with the full design money to do everything you need to do on that one section along the Naugatuck rail line. So anyway, so anyhow, that's raised, that got canceled. Protect is underway. We did get the authorization to proceed on that. We are going through the consultant selection process now. We received, what it was, 11 proposals.
Yeah, I was very surprised
We
by
are very
how much.
surprised, by comparison, we got 4 proposals under the RAISE program, and so we're going to be going through the selection, reviewing the proposals and going through the consultant selection process now. But that has been, the funds have been obligated. We have everything's all set up at the federal accounting offices, so we can actually start drawing money down. So that's a go. And if you just remind everybody, that is a project that we're working with the other 3 COGs in the northern half of the state, Capital Region, Northeast and Northwest Hills. And the intent of this is to look at the vulnerability of small bridges, culverts, any kind of infrastructure that it may be vulnerable to flooding from a major storm event. And it focuses just on local roads, local assets. The state is doing their own project that's looking at state assets, so this is looking at local only. So it's an opportunity for us to, provide the municipalities good information on what the risks are to your small culverts and bridges. And again, the idea is if we can identify come up with a priority list, and look for funding to get these things, corrected. And again, focusing on the local is, I think, real critical, because a lot of times those local roads are closer to, small streams and rivers that are more susceptible to flooding. So I think the need is much greater than on the state roads. So that's an exciting one as well. So we're just
What's
about
the
ready.
size of that grant?
Well, hopefully enough. 1.2 million is the total cost. And when we put the application together, we thought that would be sufficient. Now we're second thoughts, but again, we're gonna be, doing an inventory using, USDOT has a tool that allows you to, it's called the VAST, I don't know exactly what it means, but, vulnerability assessment strategy tool, or something like that. But you can include all the, structures and then rate, rate their condition, and then it pops out an index and it will give you a listing of, most vulnerable, all the way down. The problem we're gonna have is, right now, what is it, 9,000 potential infrastructures throughout the.
9 and change, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big number.
It's a big number. Our initial review is gonna be to cut that list down to what we see is the most vulnerable and then go from there. And then Safe Streets for All, we've talked about, quite a bit. Again, the target is for getting that draft report done by the end of the year and fully wrapped up by end of March. Any questions? Have any answers?
If there are no questions, just moving on, environmental planning, regional waste authority update.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you all for continuing to indulge me on these non-transportation related updates that I think may still be of interest to you. So I'm sure you recall the last few meetings, I've been giving updates about this regional waste authority study. The study has now been finalized and published. You can access it at the QR code. It was also sent around to Public Works and chief elected officials about a month ago. So based on the findings of this study, which covered a lot of things, it wasn't just looking at the recommendation to form the regional waste authority. There was a lot of work done to collect existing conditions and look at potential future services. And we thank the Public Works folks who were very helpful in making sure that information was in there and accurate. But the study's findings suggested that we should form a regional waste authority for the Naugatuck+Valley region. Our waste committee, which is comprised of our chief elected officials, did vote to advance that recommendation to the full board. And on September 19th, the full NVCOG board did vote to begin planning to create a regional waste authority. There is still a lot of work to do. We have to do some planning, make a bunch of decisions about structure and fees, and of course, draft those documents like bylaws and municipal ordinances. That's sort of phase 2 of the DEEP grant that is funding this. So we're going to be working closely with our waste committee, who I hope will also be working closely with their own public works departments to sort of pursue the next step of this grant. So I am happy to take any questions about this effort, or you can always follow up with me if you want some time to go through the report and have questions after that.
Thank you. So I did, read the report. I thought it was a, thorough report. Honestly, I thought I had a lot of benefit irrespective of regional because it's authority, question because they had a lot of information on the various, municipalities, allowed us to take a look and see, what other, towns, do. This is kind of a specific comment relative to, Bristol, but in Bristol, I noticed that the report happened to indicate that we don't hate construction debris at our transfer station. We do. And then there was some language talking about the fact that, Bristol representatives don't support or have concerns with pay-as-you-throw at our transfer station. It also mentioned that it interviewed, 3 people, me, my, solid waste superintendent, and the mayor. I certainly can't speak for the mayor, although I will. I will talk to him, but honestly, the city of Bristol does support our pay-as-you-go at the transfer station. I probably will even have our Board of Public Works vote on that, forward it as like a supplemental, because honestly, we really don't want to report sitting out there that we don't, support something that we do. And it could just be confusion during the conversation. We definitely don't support, and this is just, only Bristol, I can't, I don't speak for the region. We don't support pay-as-you-throw for like regular municipal collection.
Yeah, I could definitely see how that might have gotten conflated, so I do apologize about that, because I remember even reading your specific survey where I didn't realize you guys had pay-as-you-throw at your transfer station. And so I clarified with you, and that was very helpful for me, but it must have gotten jumbled with the consultants. We could look into doing some sort of addendum. We did provide the draft report to CEOs and to staff, hoping that they would catch stuff like this, but there's always gonna be stuff that slips through. So I apologize, and we'll look into fixing it however we can. We can always re-upload a new document to our website. So thank you for your comment.
But I did think it was a lot of useful information, almost like a benchmarking what we do compared to other towns. I thought it was useful. Any questions or comments? If not, funding opportunities, Christine?
Sure, yeah, so you may recognize a couple of these from the last time, but we do have a new one. So just a few days ago, the Recreational Trails Grant Program from Connecticut Deep opened a new round. It is due December 18th. I'm sure many of you are familiar with this. It's a really classic, well-loved grant program. So all municipalities are eligible to apply. This can really fund any phase of a trail project. You could start with planning and design and then go into construction or upgrades and maintenance for existing trails. We expect about $10 million to be available, and the range of projects they fund is really wide. There's no maximum you can apply for, and we've seen things as low as a little like $10,000 study to well over $500,000 in projects. This requires a 20% match from the town, but in-kind services will count towards that. We've already gotten tons of interest from when we sent out the memo of towns looking to work with NVCOG on this. So we're excited about the potential for the region. And then just a reminder for the other two, again, I know we brought it up at our last meeting, but these are another set of popular annual offerings from DEEP. The Open Space and Watershed Land Acquisition Program, or OSWA, is due November 3rd. This is also open to all municipalities. It requires a 65-25% split, 65-35% split for the fair market value of a piece of land. For environmental justice communities, DEEP will pay up to 75%. And it's a pretty involved grant application compared to the other two. So but obviously worth it. I know a lot of towns here have open space land that was acquired through this program. Actually, congratulations to Bristol. I think you were just recently awarded by the Burge Hoppers Pond. Just announced a couple months ago from OSWA. So we are looking forward to supporting you with open space applications. And then finally, the Urban Green and Community Garden Grant is available specifically to distressed communities, environmental justice communities, and targeted investment communities. If you're not sure if you're one of those, we're happy to help you figure it out. The program provides funding to develop or enhance urban green spaces, such as public gardens, or for environmental education. This one requires a 50% match, and applications are also due on November 3rd. So we look forward to supporting you. We have wonderful mapping capabilities with our MDT team. We can do letters of support, and we're looking forward to working with you guys on these. So just let us know if you plan to apply, and we can set up a meeting to figure out how we can help.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
With the demise of Rays, I think the Rec Trails grant is gonna get a few more applications.
Well, except, problem is that it's the limited funding and in trails. And again, it becomes piecemeal. The real advantage of the Rays project, we were gonna leverage the Rec Trails money that had been awarded to get, use that, the Rec Trails money as the 20% non-federal share to leverage the, $5 million plus in federal dollars. So
To that point, though, we can definitely get creative, and I think we're fortunate that Connecticut is still pushing this stuff forward. So
I'm still getting over the downer. That's why we have Rich to be to rein me in and become.
No, someone's got to be like,
Someone's gotta come.
exactly.
Okay. Any questions or comments? If not, mapping data and technology, new regional map viewer. Dan?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to reintroduce the GIS department as the Mapping Data and Technology Department to make it easier for municipal staff and the public to understand the services we provide. Following require no action, and they refer to the flyers in your packet. Due to the retirement of software, MDT staff have developed a new online application as the second iteration. You'll find the same data available in the original viewer, but now in a more organized mapping format. NVCOG staff have also created additional applications to accompany a public notification tool to find abutters and create address lists, which includes neighboring towns outside of the NVCOG region. The second is an aerial imagery swiper tool to compare different years of imagery taken in the region, excuse me. And finally, we have updated sidewalk data and new crosswalk data available. This will be used in conjunction with the test pilot program to determine ADA compliance with CTDOT. You can access all of these products on the NVCOG website or via the nice QR code here for mobile applications. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
So I have a couple, maybe this isn't appropriate at this, meeting, not to put you on the spot, but if NVCOG has a layer that we would want to put on a municipality site, would NVCOG provide it?
So that would be a great question for Rich Crowther. I would say my gut answer is to say yes to that, but I'm not the decision maker in that. Rich Crowther, the coordinator would make that decision. I cannot foresee why he would say no to that, but he's not here. He's on vacation right now, so.
I work for government, I get it, if there's an answer, the first step is, I guess, we'll look through it, and if there is, something that we would want the shape files on, to load on ours. And then the other, once again, this is without, looking at it, so I apologize for that, but like if a NVCOG ever had like wetlands maps, like general deep wetlands maps.
Yes,
On
so
Bristol,
those
we
are available.
would not want them published, because to me, that's very confusing to our residents. We have a designated, wetlands map, that is the official, wetlands, map. So we would ask that you don't publish that from Bristol, or we would give you our shape files and you can import them in,
Yeah, so the wetlands map is available and a bunch of other data from the state is available on the viewer. So that's just drawn directly from the state though, so.
I understand.
Yeah, we can talk more about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, anything that we have that you want, we can definitely make available. That one's, especially some of the sidewalk data and as DOT moves forward on their ADA project for any towns that want or need to maintain, or want to do something different aside from what the DOT puts together for an ADA transition plan, we'll gladly follow available.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Any questions, comments? If not, bicycle and the pedestrian and bicycle infrastructure update.
Yeah, so that was what I was talking about, the sidewalk and crosswalk data to be used in conjunction with CTDOT. We have that available from our 2023 flyover that happened across the state. And that is available online as well.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? If not, the next item is miscellaneous. Anything come before the committee? Yeah.
So thank you, Mr. Chair. I have one announcement about an e-bike working group that is being established. The state has a bike and pedestrian advisory board, and obviously e-bikes have been a hot topic through Watch for Me CT and some other interested parties. This working group is going to be starting this month, and the first meeting will be held on October 9th from 1 to 2 p.m. And they are looking for folks that might be interested in joining. They sent over a couple goals the group hopes to focus on over several meetings, which would include understanding the current law, including the many gray areas, creating an outreach plan and communication materials to help the public understand the new laws and safety issues, and then discussion on possible legislative recommendations. So I did want to bring it to TTAC in case there is someone who would be interested in partaking in this working group. And again, the first meeting will be next Thursday. I'm thinking it's hybrid from or online from 1 to 2 p.m. Any interest?
Is that under the Bike Ped Advisory Board? Or is it gonna be a separate thing?
I feel like it's part of that group, but I'm not sure the actual structure.
And then the volunteers they're looking for don't have to be members of the Bike and Ped Board.
No, no. Or if there's anyone you think within your municipality or even someone that might not be at this meeting, we could ask. I think it would be a really great opportunity to have some NVCOG representation with this important topic at a state level, like outlook.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other items?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, my name is Molly Johnson. I'm environmental planner here at NVCOG. And I did send you all an email on Monday, the 29th, about an opportunity for a green snow pro training hosted this fall. So we're really, the environmental planning team is really gauging interest from you all on whether or not you would want to participate in this training. This would help us know if we'll have enough attendance to host the event. So I would request that you respond to the email or just talk to me after the meeting. If you're online, you can send in the chat if you are interested in participating. And I just wanted to share the full day training course is focused on best practices for salt application and maintenance of facilities and equipment for sustainable snow management. It costs $100, which includes a lunch and course materials. And it really is recommended for public works directors, staff, road foremen, crew leaders, and operators. And it meets the requirement of the MS4 permit, as well as a sustainable CT action item. So if you have any questions, I'm here to.
Thank you. Bristol will be sending people to that. Any other items to bring up on the miscellaneous? If not, is there a motion to adjourn, and the next meeting would be December 3rd?
So moved.
There was a motion made, there was a second,
Second.
all in favor?
All right.
Aye. Thanks
Aye.
everybody for their time.
Thank you.
Bye, thank you.